you are likely bleaching your own hair without even knowing it. I'm not talking about a salon disaster. I'm talking about a biological accident happening inside your follicles right now. Most people think gray hair is just a natural part of aging, but science tells us it is actually a chemical buildup. Specifically, your body is producing hydrogen peroxide. Yes, the same stuff you buy in a brown bottle. And it is accumulating in your hair shafts, literally bleaching your natural pigment white from the inside out. This internal bleaching happens because of a breakdown in your body's enzymatic defense system. But here is the life changing news. Because this is a biochemical mechanism, it means we can influence it. We are not just going to talk about covering it up today. We are going to look at the specific mechanism of action behind why your hair loses color, from the stem cells getting stuck to the nutrients you are likely missing. And I'm going to give you a science-backed protocol to help stop that internal bleaching process in its tracks. By the end of this conversation, you will have a list of practical tools to defend your pigment and keep your hair looking as young as you feel. If you want to stay ahead of the aging curve with science, not just rumors, consider subscribing. Right now, we dive deep into the health topics your doctor is often too busy to explain. And I have a quick question for you. At what age did you spot your first gray hair? Let me know in the comments below. Let's see what the average is for our community. Now, let's get into the science of your strands. To understand how to prevent graying, we have to understand the machinery of color. Your hair gets its color from a pigment called melanin, which is produced by specialized cells called melanocytes. These melanocytes live at the bottom of your hair follicle. Think of them like tiny paint factories. As the hair grows up and out of your scalp, these factories inject pigment into the hair shaft, giving you your brown, black, blonde, or red color. But here's the catch. These paint factories rely on a supply of raw materials and a specific group of workers, melanocyte stem cells, to keep running. When those stem cells get exhausted, damaged, or stuck, the factory shuts down. The hair still grows, but it comes out clear. That's right. Gray hair is actually just hair without paint. The first major culprit in this factory shutdown is the accumulation of that hydrogen peroxide I mentioned earlier. You might use hydrogen peroxide to disinfect a cut or bleach stains out of clothes, but you definitely don't want it building up in your hair follicles. Yet, that is exactly what happens as we age. Your hair cells naturally produce small amounts of hydrogen peroxide as a metabolic byproduct. In your youth, you have a defense system, an enzyme called catalase. Catalase breaks down that hydrogen peroxide into harmless water and oxygen. However, research published in the FASEB journal has shown that as we get older, our levels of catalase drop significantly. Without enough catalase to neutralize it, the hydrogen peroxide builds up and literally bleaches the hair pigment from the inside. It blocks the production of melanin, turning the hair gray or white. It's like leaving a drop of bleach on a dark shirt. Eventually, the color lifts. To combat this, you need to boost your body's catalase levels. You can do this through your diet. Foods like sweet potatoes, carrots, onions, garlic, and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli are excellent for supporting antioxidant enzyme production. So the next time you're at the grocery store, think of those onions and broccoli not just as dinner, but as the cleanup crew removing the bleach from your hair follicles. While the bleaching theory explains the chemical environment, a recent breakthrough has explained the mechanical failure of the cells themselves. We used to think the pigment cells just died off, but a groundbreaking study published in the journal Nature has revealed something far more hopeful. The stem cells responsible for hair color often just get stuck. In a healthy hair cycle, these stem cells move back and forth between two compartments in the hair follicle, the bulge and the bulb. They need to move to mature into pigment producing cells. The study found that as hair ages, these stem cells fail to move. They get trapped in the bulge area in a state of limbo. They aren't dead, they are dormant. They have the potential to make color, but they aren't getting the signal to move. This is revolutionary because it implies that if we can unstuck them or stimulate the follicle correctly, repigmentation might be possible. This is where scalp stimulation becomes crucial. We often neglect the physical health of our scalp, but mechanical stimulation can help signal these cells. A study from Japan published in Epilepsy showed that standardized scalp massage increased hair thickness by stretching the cells of hair follicles. And while this focused on growth, The increased blood flow and mechanical signaling is vital for waking up those dormant cells. Imagine your stem cells are workers who have fallen asleep in the break room. Scalp massage is the alarm clock that wakes them up and sends them back to the factory floor. Now, let's talk about the saboteur that burns down the factory before the workers even get there: psychological stress. We used to think the idea that stress gives you gray hair was just an old wives' tale, but science has confirmed it with terrifying precision. A study conducted by researchers at Harvard University and published in Nature mapped out exactly how this happens. They found that when you are under acute stress, your body releases norepinephrine, part of your fight or flight response. This chemical doesn't just make your heart race, it causes the stem cells in your hair follicles to overactivate. Essentially, in a panic, your body depletes its entire reserve of pigment producing stem cells at once. Imagine a factory manager panicking and ordering all the workers to use up every drop of paint in the warehouse in 1 hour. Once that reserve is gone, it's gone forever. The study showed that just a few days of intense stress was enough to permanently deplete the stem cell population in mice, leading to irreversible graying. So, when you feel that tightness in your chest from worry, visualize those reserves being drained. The actionable takeaway here is non negotiable. You must find a way to interrupt the stress cycle, whether it's deep breathing, meditation, or simply walking away from the news. You need to lower your norepinephrine levels. It's not just about feeling calm, it's about saving your stem cells. Moving on from the stress response, we have to look at the fuel supply. Even if your factory is working and the bleach is under control, you cannot make paint without the right ingredients. One of the most common yet overlooked causes of premature graying is a deficiency in vitamin B12. This isn't just about low energy, it's a direct hit to your hair color. A study published in the International Journal of Trichology found that a significant percentage of young people with premature graying had low levels of vitamin B12. B12 is essential for DNA synthesis and the health of red blood cells, which carry oxygen to your hair follicles. Without adequate oxygen and healthy DNA replication, the melanocytes simply cannot function. The scary part is that as we age, our stomachs produce less acid, making it harder to absorb B12 from food. You could be eating plenty of meat and eggs, but still be deficient because your absorption is poor. This condition, called hypochlorhydria, is rampant in the senior community. Imagine trying to fill a gas tank with a hole in the nozzle. Much of the fuel never makes it in. If you are noticing rapid graying, I highly recommend asking your doctor for a B12 blood test. If you are low sublingual methylcobalamin, a form of B12, you dissolve under your tongue, can bypass the digestive tract and get that nutrient right into your bloodstream. Speaking of minerals and metals, there is one specific metal that acts as the spark plug for the pigmentation enzyme, and that is copper. The enzyme tyrosinase is responsible for the first step in creating melanin. Tyrosinase is a copper-dependent enzyme. No copper means the enzyme stays dormant and no pigment is produced. It's that simple. A study analyzing the trace element levels in human hair found that copper concentrations were significantly lower in gray hair compared to pigmented hair. This suggests a direct correlation between copper deficiency and the loss of color. Now, I am not suggesting you go out and chew on a penny or start taking massive doses of copper supplements, which can be dangerous if unbalanced with zinc. But you do need to ensure you are getting dietary copper. Foods like organ meats, shellfish, especially oysters, spirulina, and shiitake mushrooms are fantastic natural sources. Imagine your enzymes are like a car engine. Copper is the key that turns the ignition. Without it, the car sits in the driveway and your hair grows out gray. Try incorporating a serving of liver or a handful of cashew nuts into your weekly routine to keep those enzymes firing. Now, let's step outside of nutrition for a moment and look at a lifestyle habit that is absolute poison for your hair color: smoking. We all know smoking damages the lungs and heart, but the mechanism by which it grays your hair is fascinatingly destructive. Smoking causes massive vasoconstriction. It tightens your blood vessels, restricting blood flow to the periphery of your body, including your scalp. Your hair follicles are already hungry for nutrients, and smoking essentially chokes off their supply line. Furthermore, The toxins in cigarette smoke generate free radicals that damage the melanocytes. A study published in the Indian Dermatology Online Journal found that smokers were 2.5 times more likely to develop premature gray hair than non smokers. It's a staggering statistic. Every puff is essentially suffocating your pigment cells. If you smoke, this is yet another reason to quit. And if you are exposed to secondhand smoke, do your best to minimize it. Visualize your blood vessels like garden hoses. Smoking puts a kink in the hose, stopping the water from reaching the flower bed. Unkink the hose, and you give your hair a fighting chance. Let's pivot back to something many of us struggle with: oxidative stress caused by a poor diet, specifically one high in sugar and processed foods. We often hear about oxidative stress, but what does it mean for your hair? It means there is an imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants, the good guys. When free radicals run rampant, they attack the melanocytes. But there is a specific process called glycation that is particularly harmful. This happens when excess sugar in your bloodstream binds to proteins and forms harmful molecules called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These AGEs make tissues stiff and inflexible, and they generate massive amounts of oxidative stress. While specific studies on AGEs and graying are still emerging, the general consensus in dermatological aging research is that glycation accelerates cellular aging across the board, including the hair follicle. Think of glycation like rust accumulating on a machine. The more sugar you eat, the rustier your biological machinery becomes, and rusty machines don't produce beautiful hair color. Cutting down on refined sugars and processed carbohydrates isn't just good for your waistline, it's a direct preservation strategy for your pigment. Swap that afternoon pastry for a handful of berries, which are loaded with antioxidants to fight off that rust. We've talked about what goes into your body, but let's talk about a hormone that regulates the speed of almost every process in your system: the thyroid hormone. Your thyroid is the master thermostat of your body, and it plays a massive role in hair health. Both hypothyroidism underactive and hyperthyroidism overactive can lead to premature graying. T3 and T4 hormones directly modulate hair follicle cycling and pigmentation. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism highlighted how thyroid disorders are frequently linked to hair abnormalities, including premature graying. If your thyroid is sluggish, your metabolism slows down, and the delivery of resources to your hair follicles becomes inefficient. It's like a construction site where the workers are moving in slow motion. The building, or in this case, the pigment, just doesn't get finished in time. If you have other symptoms like fatigue, cold hands and feet, or unexplained weight gain alongside your graying, get your thyroid panel checked. Supporting your thyroid with iodine-rich foods like seaweed or selenium from Brazil nuts, just 2 a day is enough, can help normalize this thermostat and get the production line moving at the right speed again. Now, I want to touch on a nutrient that acts more like a hormone than a vitamin. Vitamin D3, we call it the sunshine vitamin, but most of us, especially seniors, are chronically deficient. Vitamin D3 is crucial for the cycling of the hair follicle. Your hair goes through growth, resting, and shedding phases. Vitamin D receptors have been found on the melanocytes themselves, indicating that D3 plays a direct role in pigment production. A study published in the International Journal of Trichology found that serum vitamin D levels were significantly lower in adolescents with premature graying of hair compared to a control group. This suggests that low D3 might be a trigger for the pigment to shut off early. Since our skin becomes less efficient at making vitamin D from the sun as we age, relying on sunshine alone often isn't enough. Supplementing with D3 paired with K2 for absorption is often necessary. Think of vitamin D3 as the manager who tells the workers when to start their shift. Without the manager, the workers sit around and no color gets produced. Let's move to an environmental factor that hits the top of your head directly: ultraviolet UV radiation. We slather sunscreen on our faces to prevent wrinkles, but we often leave our scalps completely exposed. UV rays from the sun create oxidative stress directly in the hair shaft and the follicle stem cells. This is known as photoaging of the hair. The radiation damages the lipids and proteins in the hair, but it also depletes the melanin reservoirs. A study in the Journal of Photochemistry and Photobiology, B, demonstrated that UV radiation induces the formation of reactive oxygen species, those free radicals we talked about earlier, which degrade melanin and damage the melanocytes. If you are going to be out in the strong sun for extended periods, wear a hat. It sounds simple, but physically shielding your scalp prevents that radiation from frying your pigment factories. Think of a hat not just as an accessory, but as a shield protecting your stem cells from a bombardment of radiation. While we are discussing protection, we must discuss the time when your body does its best repair work, sleep. It is during deep sleep that your body produces melatonin. Most people think of melatonin just as a sleep aid, but it is actually a potent antioxidant. In fact, it is one of the most powerful scavengers of free radicals in the body. It protects your cells, including hair follicle cells, from oxidative damage. Research has shown that melatonin receptors are present in human hair follicles and that melatonin can modulate hair growth and pigmentation. A lack of sleep disrupts this repair cycle, leaving your follicles vulnerable to the damage accumulated during the day. If you are chronically sleep deprived, you are missing out on your body's natural night shift cleaning crew. Prioritizing sleep hygiene, dark rooms, cool temperatures, no screens before bed is a beauty treatment for your hair color. It allows your body to sweep away the metabolic waste that leads to graying. I also want to introduce you to an herb that has been used for centuries in traditional Chinese medicine, specifically for this purpose. It is called Shou or fo tea. The name roughly translates to Mr. He's black hair, named after a villager who supposedly restored his youth and hair color using the root. While we must be careful with herbal supplements and always consult a doctor due to potential liver interactions in rare cases, modern science has begun to investigate why this root might work. Research published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology suggests that compounds in Polygonum multiflorum, the scientific name for FOTI, can induce melanin synthesis and promote melanocyte proliferation. It appears to stimulate the very pathways that go dormant in gray hair. If you are interested in natural avenues, researching high quality, liver safe extracts of this herb could be worth a discussion with your healthcare provider. It represents a way to potentially wake up those sleeping stem cells we talked about at the beginning. We have covered a lot of ground, but there is one more vital mineral connection, zinc. Zinc acts as a cofactor for hundreds of enzymatic reactions in the body, including protein synthesis. Since hair is almost entirely protein keratin, zinc is non-negotiable. But specifically for color, zinc protects the melanocytes from degeneration. A study in the journal Biological Trace Element Research found that zinc levels, along with copper and iron, were significantly lower in patients with premature graying. Zinc also helps balance hormones, which we know affect hair health. Oysters, pumpkin seeds, and lentils are great sources. Think of zinc as the scaffolding that holds the hair structure together. Without it, the structure and the color collapses. If you're finding this deep dive into the biochemistry of gray hair useful, please take a moment to give this video a thumbs up. It helps us get this information to more people who are looking for real answers, not just cosmetic cover-ups. Now, let's synthesize this. We have talked about stress, draining your batteries, hydrogen peroxide bleaching your roots, and deficiencies in B12, copper, D3, and zinc starving your pigment factories. It can feel overwhelming. So let's simplify the approach. You don't need to change everything overnight. Start with the low-hanging fruit. Are you deficient in vitamins? Get tested. Are you chronically stressed? Find one stress relief practice. Are you eating enough antioxidant-rich foods? Add a serving of berries or broccoli tomorrow. It is also important to mention the role of inflammation. Systemic inflammation, often caused by the standard American diet, puts the body in a constant state of alarm. When the body is fighting inflammation, it prioritizes survival over non-essential functions like hair pigmentation. Reducing inflammation through an anti-inflammatory diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids like those found in salmon and walnuts can signal to your body that it is safe to invest energy in luxury items like hair color. Again, finally, we must address the genetic load. Yes, genetics play a huge role. If your parents went gray at 20, you have a stronger tide to swim against. But genetics are the gun, lifestyle is the trigger. Epigenetics, the study of how behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work, tells us that we have more control than we thought. You might have the gene for graying, but by keeping your oxidative stress low and your nutrients high, you can delay the activation of that gene. You are not a victim of your DNA, you are the manager of it. To wrap up our actionable list, let's look at the power of iron. Iron deficiency, or anemia, is a well known cause of hair loss, but it is also linked to pigment loss. Iron is necessary for the production of hemoglobin, which carries oxygen. Low iron means low oxygenation of tissues. If your ferritin levels stored iron are low, your body will pull resources from your hair to keep your vital organs alive. A study in the Journal of Korean Medical Science found a link between low serum ferritin and premature graying. If you are feeling tired and breathless along with going gray, check your iron. But be careful, never supplement iron unless a blood test confirms you need it, as too much iron can be toxic. So, where does this leave us? We have looked at the mechanism, the melanocyte stem cells getting stuck, the hydrogen peroxide buildup, and the nutrient shortages. We have looked at the solution, stress management to save stem cells, antioxidant foods to break down peroxide, correcting B12, D3, copper, and zinc levels, protecting against UV rays, and prioritizing sleep. This journey to reclaiming your natural vibrancy isn't just about hair, it is about total body health. The very same things that prevent gray hair, reducing oxidative stress, improving circulation, balancing hormones, and fueling your body with dense nutrients are the exact same things that prevent heart disease, cognitive decline, and frailty. By treating your gray hair, you are treating your whole self. You are signaling to your body that you are not winding down, you are tuning up. You have the knowledge now. You understand that that gray hair isn't just old age, it's a message. It's a message from your body asking for support, for better fuel, for less stress, and for more protection. You have the power to answer that call. It might take time, hair grows slowly, and repairing biological damage is a marathon, not a sprint. But every healthy meal, every deep breath, and every hour of quality sleep is a step in the right direction. I want you to feel empowered when you look in the mirror. Don't look at that gray hair with resignation. Look at it as a challenge you are equipped to meet. You are strong, you are capable, and your best years and perhaps your best hair health are not necessarily behind you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these hidden culprits surprised you the most? Was it the stress connection, the hydrogen peroxide bleach, or the copper deficiency? Let me know below. And if you found value in this mentor session, please like this video and subscribe because your health is worth fighting for, and we are in this fight together. Here is to your health, your vitality, and living life in full color.